The biggest mistake you can make when a man disrespects you is trying to use your words to fix his behavior. When he acts cold, ignores your texts, or cancels plans at the last second, your immediate instinct is to look him in the eyes and explain exactly how much his actions hurt your feelings. You genuinely believe that if you just find the right words, his empathy will kick in and he will change. The brutal reality of masculine psychology is that verbal explanations are just background noise to a man. He does not alter his conduct because you gave a beautiful speech about your emotions. He simply realizes that your boundaries have zero real teeth and that he can slide by with a cheap verbal apology. By constantly explaining yourself to a man who keeps crossing the line, you are operating from a place of deep emotional desperation. You are treating basic respect as a casual negotiation instead of a strict requirement for entering your world, turning yourself into a pleader who begs for scraps. A man can sense instantly when your words carry no threat of actual consequences, and that lack of behavioral weight causes him to completely lose respect for your presence. Instead of viewing your boundaries as an unshakable wall, he sees them as a temporary speed bump that he can easily smooth over with a few empty promises and smooth lines before doing the exact same thing again. The masculine blueprint is deeply competitive and strictly response-driven, meaning that a man only truly understands raw behavioral pain and clear consequences. He does not care about the high emotional standard you talk about. He cares about the literal price he has to pay the moment he steps out of line with you. If his low-effort behavior and disrespect cause absolutely no disruption to his daily comfort, his brain registers that his current conduct is totally fine. To force a real shift, you must be completely ready to cut off his easy access to your warmth, leaving his inflated ego to crash hard against your sudden, unexplained silence and absolute lack of engagement. To see why your long explanations fail so miserably, you have to look at how dopamine and the thrill of the chase work inside a man's mind. A man is naturally wired to appreciate, value, and defend what he actually had to work incredibly hard to obtain and maintain over time. When you hand him a detailed manual on how to treat you while continuously forgiving his micro-violations, you take away all the stakes. You make yourself too safe, too predictable, and entirely easy to manage, which completely kills his biological urge to perform, invest, and consistently show up to secure your love and attention. The literal physical sensation of a shattered ego is the single most powerful tool to make a man reevaluate his position in your life and fix his behavior. The exact second you stop arguing, crying, or demanding change, and instead deliver a sharp total withdrawal of your energy, a massive shockwave hits his nervous system. He inherently expects the familiar pattern of your frantic paragraphs or your visible distress to feed his ego and keep him stable. When his low-stakes baiting texts face complete polite neutrality, his chest tightens as he realizes he has lost all leverage over you. You probably find yourself stuck in a draining loop where you act as his unpaid life coach, trying to build a mediocre man up to a basic standard of consideration. You swallow your pride and accept his hours-long text delays, convincing yourself that if you are just a little more understanding, he will finally see your loyalty and step up. In reality, your endless patience is actively training him to view your personal time as something completely disposable. He knows you will always be waiting around regardless of how poorly he treats you, so he shifts his best energy away from you entirely. Think about the impact of the moment you decide to stop caring about his excuses and let the interaction collapse into the vacuum of your absence. The masculine ego operates on a remarkably fragile framework that requires your constant, steady attention and validation to survive. By cutting off that supply line with absolute quietness, you leave him to struggle with the sudden stillness of your absence. He is forced to ruminate on his failures in a loop, realizing that he was unknowingly subsidizing his confidence with your emotional labor. When a man realizes that his verbal manipulations and lazy patterns no longer grant him effortless access to your headspace, a massive shift occurs. He begins to feel the actual weight of the space you have created, and his internal security begins to waver. He can no longer count on your quick replies or your reassuring tone to boost his self-esteem when he feels bored or lonely. This sudden lack of feedback causes him to spiral into overthinking, turning his attention entirely toward analyzing what went wrong. His previous arrogance completely dissolves because he can no longer control the narrative of your interaction. The exact moment his low-energy habits result in a complete loss of access to your presence, his entire system experiences a profound disruption. He is forced to confront the reality that his casual access has a very high price, driving him to suddenly look at his own actions with a rare sense of accountability. He will often try to push your boundaries again with low-risk text messages or vague invitations just to see if the door is still open for his convenience. When those weak attempts are met with nothing but flat, business-like neutrality, the realization hits him that his old games have completely expired. If you are looking for extra help to navigate these complex social dynamics without losing your emotional center, the Black Cat Playbook was designed for you. This book cuts through the confusion and gives you straight-to-the-point scripts and vetting rules to test a man's intentions before you waste your time. You can download your copy right now by clicking the link in the description down below. When you refuse to engage in long-drawn negotiations over basic respect, you force a man to experience the immediate chill of your total emotional neutrality. Instead of typing out long explanations that do nothing but show your heavy investment, you drop your performance level to absolute zero. This tactical shift is where the true dynamic changes, because it operates on real-time consequences rather than empty warnings. A man who receives no feedback, no anger, and no attention is left entirely in the dark. And that darkness is where his ego begins to actively decay, as his mind tries to calculate your sudden lack of interest. The internal collapse of his arrogance happens because the typical man is completely unequipped to handle the sudden silence of a woman he thought he owned. He relies heavily on your emotional reactions to measure his level of control over the dynamic. When you remove that mirror, he is left alone with his own thoughts, forcing his mind to repeat his mistakes in a continuous loop. This mental friction is the only tool that breaks through his sense of entitlement, as he can no longer hide behind the excuse that you are just being dramatic or oversensitive about his lack of effort. Most women are heavily socialized from early childhood to be the gentle, accommodating caretakers of their romantic environments, which routinely traps them in cycles of burnout and resentment. Overcoming this habitual overgiving requires a total internal shift, where you stop treating a man as the absolute center of your universe and begin viewing him merely as a potential addition. This single alteration in your mindset changes every micro-interaction, from your steady body language during a first date to the casual cadence of your voice. You are no longer auditioning for his approval. You are the judge evaluating his merit. True power in a relationship dynamic belongs to the person who is most comfortable being alone and does not fear the end of a connection. When a woman has built a life that she loves, a man becomes a potential addition to that life rather than the center of her universe. This perspective changes every micro-interaction, from the way she answers a phone call to the way she handles a first date. She is no longer auditioning for the role of his girlfriend. She is the judge determining if he is worthy of a seat at her table. This shift in control is the foundation of all healthy dynamics. A man who has spent months offering nothing but casual indifference will suddenly shift his behavior when he realizes his access to you has been completely revoked. He will try to test your resolve by slowly increasing his effort or offering late-night invitations to see if his old status has survived. If you remain completely unmoved by these hollow gestures, his ego takes a direct hit that forces him to reevaluate his arrogance. The realization that he can no longer gain your attention for free strips away his sense of superiority, making him realize that your time is an expensive asset. The structural flaw of any casual or low-standard arrangement is that it attempts to secure the premier benefits of your intimacy without paying the mandatory price of consistent commitment. Men who seek these low-maintenance dynamics are looking for maximum reassurance with zero consistency, exploiting your fear of conflict to push your boundaries. When they encounter a woman who treats her time with absolute reverence and refuses to negotiate her standards, their manipulative tactics fall apart. They must either elevate their conduct to match her criteria or remove themselves from her environment. Understanding the harsh reality that men only understand pain and consequences is the definitive key to reclaiming your absolute personal autonomy in a chaotic dating culture. When you replace emotional wishful thinking and endless verbal explanations with cold objective behavioral analysis, the fog of romantic confusion clears instantly, and your boundaries become absolute laws. If this clinical breakdown provided you with the precise strategic clarity you needed today, please remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.
I hope this content was helpful for you, and I would really like if you could share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.